he said, no, you have to do that because that was their, it was kind of, well, you need to do this, or, you know, some cities are at risk of losing their EVIT money, so.
And I'm not saying, I wasn't saying that just us, I was saying as a whole, if no one was told that, I think if the state, and you let them know this, but I believe when the state has cities do deficit plans, and it's not the first time they've had cities do this, you would believe they would give you a sheet of rules to follow for the next 5 years. Give you dates and times and what you must do to meet the requirements of the deficit plan. That would seem logical.
I agree, and I do think that there is a lot of different things going on because there's way more people doing this than ever before. There's way more communities doing this. So everybody's kind of struggling. They're probably taxed way more than they felt they were going to be. And to get all of the reports and have them in a file somewhere is probably the only...
I'm just saying when they gave us the plan and we told us what we needed to do and we submitted it, at that point in time, they could have done one sheet for every community. This is what is required of you for the next 5 years. It would probably take them 5 minutes. And saved us.
Echoed that exact sentiment to
them.
Stress. So yes, I've relayed those messages already.
Now that I've said that, you may continue.
You know, there are some changes as we get to the later ends of the years. Obviously, we're looking at basically the big part for 13 is the approved budget and debt plan, and compared to the projected for 13, which means we're only paying off about $860,000 of our deficit this year. So we had to make that up towards the end of the plan, not as early. So we're working there. Now we're making a bigger payment, but it's not really. We're not really showing that effect here. We've reconciled all those departments. These aren't necessarily cuts. As I said at the last meeting, the big one here is the $2 million in savings on the high deductible plan. That's now been moved into the departments. So all of those department numbers have been reconciled with their employee costs. So we know who's where and how much the actual employee costs, and that is the savings. So the savings is still there. But we're still seeing the increased amounts and the decrease in some of the revenue areas. As I shared with Tim already, we have about $707,000 in court fines right now. That puts us way off the 3.2 budgeted as far as tracking. As of November 30th, we should be about 42% to budget in all of our budget areas. So when you're looking at budget performance reports, you know, that's what you're looking for, is that percentage of how much spent compared to...
Fines and forfeitures?
Yes. Correct.
How are we way off?
We're only about, because if you break that down into the other, what all the fines and forfeitures are, you got the court fines. Court fines are only about $700,000 to budget right now. We got budgeted 3.2. We should be 42%.
Well, it says 3135 actual, and it says submitted 3283. So is that not reading correctly?
Well, forfeitures, what is that? That's all the.
It says fines and forfeitures.
Requiring.
Under
7.
actual 3.1 and under submitted 3.2. That's what it says. First 2 lines under fines and forfeitures.
Forfeitures, is that including, that's not court though, is it?
I'm sorry. No, you're looking at 12, Bill. I'm talking about 13. We're in fiscal year 13. We're tracking out for the rest of the fiscal year. So at actual, DEP submitted a total of 3.5.
But that's but fines and forfeitures are controlled by our city.
Correct.
And we're not controlling to have one. And that's by choice. We're choosing to not meet the deficit plan. And that is way beyond me. And I'm not choosing it, but you get to choose it. And you're choosing that we will not meet the deficit plan with fines and forfeitures.
How am I choosing that?
Well, why do not we have as many fines and forfeitures?
Because we're 4,000 tickets off compared to where we were this time last year.
Okay. And
So am I supposed to go out and ride with the police officer and direct
are
them
our
to?
hours down less? Are we sending people out less? Do they still go out as much? Why are we down
There's a
that much?
potential in change of staffing because of the changes from new hires to the staffing that was working this time last year with the changes. So there are, the time frame, who's doing what. Chief Scolastia's already looked into it, so she's making some adjustments on people that, to get different cars, but people have been, some of the officers have been field training versus doing different things with the new hires.
So they do not want to do the ticket details?
No, there's been no reduction in ticket, no
No
reduction
reduction
from the
in-
administration as to how many ticket details are being offered. I can't tell you as to how many ticket details are being,
So we're still, you as an administration is still allowing the same amount from last year to this year?
there's been no changes from our end. I don't know, has there been changes from your end?
No.
So they're just not accepting the detail?
Well,
And there
part
have
of the
been no
problem is
changes?
part of the problem is when we went to 12-hour shifts, by the time the officers are done working 12-hour shifts, there isn't that much availability for them to
Yeah,
work
but that's not the difference
overtime.
between last year and this year, because we were already on 12s last year, so.
We were already on 12, so what's the problem? Do we know? They just don't want them?
I can't speak for the officers.
Well, I don't know, I would
It's not.
think you would delve into it and find out why.
Well, I think, again, if we look at $700,000 in revenue, and you look at 2.25, of which we're projecting out, or 2.6 now, we only hit 2.7 last year in total court fines and revenue. That's
So you're
not,
putting this for 13, is what I'm saying. We're
Correct.
projecting in 13.
we overshot.
That
That's
it'll
what
be
I'm
this
saying.
low, but you're saying in 13 it's going to be this low.
We over projected with the budget that was approved. We don't direct people to try to hit the budget. We budgeted too much and they're not
And
getting
this
it.
includes the court fines.
Correct.
And the court came to us and told us last year that they weren't meeting their numbers.
Well, but the police have to do the one job in order for the court
Well,
to meet the
court's not
numbers.
just tickets though, right? Court's also assessing fines for other.
Well, but most of the
Or
time,
just
most of them
violations.
come through stops, a lot of them come through stops. They get stopped for one thing, a ticket, is what he was saying, and then there's other things, and there's other court comes with it, so I mean, it's all encompassed. It's all encompassed, he said.
Yeah.
That's what we were.
Well, no, I mean, Council,
we're
if you're
projecting-
insinuating that the administration is trying
I'm
to
not
prevent the
insinuating,
police
I'm simply
department from
asking
doing
you.
revenue, that's not the case.
I asked you, I said, you get to choose.
You didn't ask.
I said, did you lower the hours?
No.
Did you lower the time? Has there been any change from prior administration? Now, this is projected for 13.
Correct.
So why do we think it will be so low coming up if we've already got our new officers in line and they're all set and everything?
Because that's what we're tracking to right now. Right now, we're at $700,000 year to date.
But because of all this changes, you said all new officers, do we think it'll still be that way coming up?
Well, they can't make up a 20% loss in revenue for the balance of the
not
year
13.
and, yes, that's
We're not in 13
We
yet.
are too. It's fiscal year 13. Closes June 30th, started July 1st. That's fiscal year end 2013.
We do from June to July.
Correct.
So we have 6 months
So
left.
12 is what ended June 30th.
Correct. But we're not done with 13.
I know, but we can't make up 20% lost revenue to date in the balance and expect to write 100% of what we need to write for that time too.
Is that number a to-date number?
The 700,000?
Yeah.
Yes, as of
Mayor?
November 30th.
Could you tell us what the number should be at 42% of the year of what we projected? Maybe that would help.
42% of 33.2?
Where should we be?
1067.
1.067,
Over a million?
and we're at 700,000. So that's what I was thinking, it might help if we knew how off it is right now, at this point. And we're 42% through the fiscal year.
Right, and we did, so council and Councilwoman, I did ask Amanda, called over to Ms. Bowman and double checked to make sure that we weren't like a 30-day receivable on court fines, that we weren't behind in collection, that we were not tracking off. And she was told that no, we are, I mean, those are real-time numbers, we collect fines immediately from the time the tickets basically.
Our understanding is what we were told is that going to the 12-hour shifts was going to save the city money. And it was going to make everything a lot better if we went to 12-hour shifts.
I don't think the shifts, length of time has anything to do with court fines and
Well,
revenues.
she just said that she thought the shifts were so, you said the
Because-
shifts were too long that,
No,
or
because
someone said the shifts might be by
what
the time
Chief
they
was
do 12 hours,
referencing-
I understand they're not gonna wanna go back out.
What
I'm
Chief
not
was
saying they should.
referencing was that on 8 hours, they can go work a shift, a 4-hour detail before and a 4-hour detail after. On 12 hours,
They're not gonna
they're
be
only
able-
allowed to work one, so they can only work 16
I
straight
would
hours.
expect them to work all that, I'm not